Evening, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. Before we do roll call, I just want to remind you when you speak, please be sure to turn on or off your microphone. When it's on, the light will be green, and when it's off, the light will be red. So if you could please speak into your microphone so that we can hear you. And we'll get started with the roll call. We do have Ms. Jada Langford Fleming joining us via Zoom, and we are waiting for her to join that meeting. And we have Ms. Bobby D'Alessandro on Zoom as well. So I will get started with roll call. Mr. Frederick Atkins.
Here.
Mrs. Greta Campbell.
Present.
Mrs. Bobby D'Alessandro.
Here.
Mr. Fred Elliott.
Here.
Ms. Ramey Hall. Here. Mr. James May.
Here.
Mr. Joe Mazurkowicz. Oh, I'm sorry, he had an excused absence tonight. Mr. Joseph Mitchell. Here. Mr. Joshua Melendez. Here. Mr. Richard Peacock. Present. Mr. Matthew Ropestorff. Here. Mr. Jay Santos. Okay. Miss Sharon Schulman. Mrs. Sia Sherman had an excused absence, and Mr. Chris Simino.
Present.
All right, thank you, sir. I will turn it over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Sarah. So let's get this meeting started. I said to these guys, it's official because I have a folder full of stuff. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the prior minutes. Can I please have a motion to have?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any discussions, changes, or edits to those minutes? Let's take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there any public comment tonight? It's the best kind of public comment. So we'll move on. No public comment. Thank you. Just a update for the committee from the chair. Thank you for, I think, electing me at the last meeting, so this is my first meeting. A couple of things to inform you all on. I did have an opportunity to present on our behalf, the ISSOC behalf, to the full board of the school board about a month ago. I think it went exceptionally well, was very pleased with the presentation that the district staff put together. I think we had a good conversation with the board and answered a few questions, but all in all, I think it went exceptionally well.
Chris?
Yes.
I was there that night to support our committee, and you did a wonderful job. It was a great presentation. You were articulate, and you answered the questions perfectly. So I was happy to be there tonight. He did a great job for us.
Thank you. And I did say, if you agree with me, it's Bobby's responsibility. She does it all. Second thing I will say is that there is an ask of the chair when Mr. Schimpf was the chair. Some of the safety and security issues that are funded by the sales tax are private. And so we agreed as a committee probably 2 years ago that it would be the responsibility of the chair to meet with the district offline to discuss and make sure that those safety and security projects were aligned with the sales tax, and then come back and tell the committee that they were, so that in a public forum we didn't have to talk about security items. I have not had the opportunity yet to have that conversation with the school district staff, full disclosure. The second thing is that, or the third thing is that in the issue of marketing and communications, I've asked the staff if perhaps at the September meeting we could have an update on what we are doing to market and communicate the sales tax across our community, whether it's signs, or the website, other social media, et cetera. So in the September meeting, they've agreed to come and present a plan for that. And then finally, we did have a request from the Lehigh Chamber. And we're
the Lehigh Acres Rotary Club.
Sorry, the Lehigh Acres Rotary Club. And because I like to assign things to Ms. Sherman, we'll wait until she's back to respond to that. Maybe we'll do that sometime in September or October. And that's the end of the chair report. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
With your comment that the district will show how they're doing some marketing and continuing to doing community events as it relates to the ISSOC. There is conversation in the community also that this will go away and sunset. So is there a clear definitive answer on whether or not the district is going to continue to support this moving forward, and we're asking the community to do that, or are we halting this and just doing presentations for current time?
I think at the current time, the issue of marketing and communications will be around how we are communicating the existing sales tax, the projects that are underway. Separately, I believe there ought to be a conversation, and that's largely, I think, at the board level, of the continuity of the sales tax or the potential continuity of the sales tax after the 10-year period.
I don't know if we can make a recommendation, but I think it would be appropriate to have clear and concise communications so that if we are making presentations and letting people believe that there is going to be continued efforts, that that's not contradicted in another public setting.
I think that's a fair request. If I could table that till the end of the meeting,
Sure.
perhaps we could revisit that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item, Jada Langford Fleming with us from the board. Any report?
Well, as you know, we're in summer, so we're in a big break, and thankfully our teachers and staff are all hopefully resting and relaxing as much as they possibly can in the summer. But as a former teacher, that lasts about 4 weeks, and then they want to get back in their classroom. So, but as far as an update from the board, we have we just passed the bond to be able to continue the projects of Hector Cafferata, Cypress Middle, and then the possible ability of continuing the NNN site, which is at the Joel and Tuckahoe site. I'm sure if you're following meetings, you know that there's some contention about that site, but that bond allowed us to continue to move forward on those projects. Outside of that, there's really no more information I have that would pertain to this meeting.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If you're willing to accept questions? Hearing none, we'll move on. This is moving along quickly. So we will have the review of the sales tax funded projects from our esteemed colleagues at the district. It's Mr. Rickenbacker up first. Welcome and thank you.
Good evening, board members. Scott Rickenbacker, Construction. Pretty brief update right here. The report is 3 pages. There's 3 categories: design, construction, and closeout phase. So if you can see the first slide, design phase, right now these are mostly traffic improvements. To the right, you'll see what the actual budget funded by the tax referendum was for starting with Alva, 300,000, Harns Marsh, 234, Tortuga, 60 grand for design, Trafalgar, 31, Trafalgar Middle, 49, and Villas Elementary, 71, 450. So that's the work that's in design. Currently this summer, we forecast 2 traffic improvement projects per summer. We're currently doing the Alva School as we speak, and we are starting the Harns Marsh project so that the teachers don't get locked up in the traffic, getting them back and create a safer route to school in the frontage of the school. And the other 2 projects you'll see, they're designated for FY26. Most of our traffic improvement jobs have to occur over the summer. Because of the parking lot, we change them to 3 lanes for the stacking to get it off the road. We extend it into the back portions of the lot to gain that additional stacking. So we forecasted about $3 million per year to do 2 of these jobs, and every year seems another school pops up. So right now I've got about 4 on the plate, but I'm sure there'll be a couple more in the next few months coming through. So that's where we are in the design process. Construction, we have Veterans Park, Lemuel Teal, and the Black Box Theater. This has been a project that has gestated it was a super K8, it was split back apart again, and so now we have one project that was approved at $55.5 million. We've broken it into 3 separate projects, and the tax referendum is funding that. So the first one is the Veteran Park Academy of the Arts, Black Box. The cost of that project, and it'll be done in October and November, is $14 million approximately. Lemuel Teal, which is going back in after we renovated and reopened that school, completing the roof, the windows, and the replacement of air handlers inside the school. When we did the first renovation to reopen it up, there just wasn't enough time to get all of those projects done and open the school up, so we created this project in it, and that is at an $8 million figure. Veterans Park Academy of the Arts desperately needed some updating and renovation in there. Again, air handlers, carpeting, painting, and that came in at a total cost of $12.5 million. And that's underway as well. All three projects are expected to be complete fall of 2025. The next up, we just actually fired up Cape Coral Technical College. That's where part of this expansion is actually taking place where the old Hector Caffaretta campus used to be. We did a demolition project, and we now are starting the foundation work and building the pad for that expansion of the Cape Tech project. And that is scheduled to open July of next year. Full cost of that, board approved, is $23,827,000 is being funded by the tax referendum. Next up, Riverdale campus. Board approved, $108,750,000, scheduled to be open this August for start of school. We're in the final phases of it, working on what we call the concretable building, renovating that existing building, updating it, replacing the elevator inside, and finishing all of our on-site and off-site work. Riverdale, again, will be open this August for start of school, at which time they will increase the numbers back to what they were this past year during construction, because doing a construction on an entire campus that's occupied, you've got to hold the numbers down so you can manage that. So that'll be up to their full capacity. Alva School, traffic improvements. We did this, we've already completed this, what you see there, it says temporary portion. You probably saw on the news the problems with the local church and the traffic on the road, and it's backing up over the bridge there that goes from Alva and 82. We did a temporary fix with some stone to get cars off of the roadway and into the project. So that's the funding that you see completed with sales tax dollars, $430,000. And we are now in the phase 2, which is the actual final finished project, enveloping, connecting the back, and bringing in all that stacking off the road and onto the site. Closeout phase. We have two projects we're closing out. The Franklin Park Elementary campus, that was a Castaldi demolition project, and the rebuild. I'm not sure if you all have had a chance to go out and look through that school. It's beautiful. Lee Health, we're in combination with United Way and Lee Health. I hear that's going amazingly. Always have people in the parking lot, so I'm pleased to see that that's really serving the community's needs. $3,674,772 is funded, and that is the debt service where they pay down the loans on that build. Gateway Elementary School. This was a traffic improvement we did last summer out there, literally tore up and redid all the drainage in there, extended the stacking road to the back, increased the lanes to get the traffic off of Griffin Parkway. That just went to the board in June for final payment and release of the project. Any questions?
Just one. You mentioned Veterans Park Elementary, first phase, $15 million roughly, but you said total 55 million?
Veterans Park originally was one massive job. It was going to be a super K-8 school where VPAA and the old, what was the old Lehigh Acres Middle School, would be combined into a super K-8. It changes in direction, separated the schools back out again, so we broke the projects apart. So the first one I reported to you at the cost of $14 million, that's the Black Box Theater. So that is a brand new community theater, that is an arts theater that is shared by both campuses. Veterans Park Academy of Arts, which is an art school, and also Lemuel Teal, which has an art program going on there.
So is that it, or is there a 55? I swear I heard a 55 million.
That's just the theater. The next part is the Lemuel Teal building, which used to be Lehigh Acres Middle. That is for the HVAC, the roofing, and the window improvements that weren't able to be done in the original program that happened about a year and a half earlier. Okay. So that's finishing that out. And the third part is Veterans Park Academy of the Arts. That also was part of the global campus concept at $55 million, and that was broken out to do the HVAC, carpet replacement, and refreshing, and LED lighting as well. And that was $12.5 million.
So the $14 million is only for Veterans Park, or is it for the combination?
Only for the Black Box.
Only for the black
That theater,
box
the 14 building is a brand
and the
new
black
building.
box for Lemuel Teal.
Is for both campuses. It's
Okay.
a shared facility for both schools on the
Okay.
campus.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sorry, any other questions?
But the dollars you see specifically linked to those three are specifically the dollars that Budget and Finance are utilizing sales tax dollars to cover that
So it's a
cost.
$55 million project, but only these are sales tax, thank you.
Correct.
I may be slow, but I'm not that bright.
Then join me. You're right there.
It's a $55 million project, and roughly 30 million of it
Correct.
is coming from sales tax. We good? I'm not. Okay.
Scott, can you talk a little bit about how the community can also utilize that black box theater going through the right vessels,
Oh,
for
absolutely.
example,
So
local churches, clubs, organizations?
we changed, just for your own knowledge, we changed course from the massive auditoriums, specifically at the high school levels as well. They sit empty. We air condition them. We light them. They use them maybe a few times a year. Maybe if it's an art school, they use them a little bit more, but not to the level that justifies the cost of construction and keeping it air conditioned and lighting. So we changed the concept. We've gone to a black box theater concept. We started at Bonita High School. That was the first one to receive a black box. Stadium type seating. It doesn't have an elevated stage. It has a stage on grade. It can be used for many functions. And right now, Bonita, Jeff Essie's the principal, he makes a lot of revenue for the school by allowing that to be rented out for community events, whether it be the city of Bonita Springs to use it, dance recitals, jazz recitals, and I think he makes a really good return on that investment for his school. The second black box we built was at Gateway High School. And again, I haven't spoken to that principal, so I don't know how they are using it. But again, that's available for events, teaching, lectures, rentals, and so on. So it's a way to drive revenue back into the school and into the district. And then so at the middle school level, we decided, since it was an arts campus, that this would be an appropriate place for two schools to utilize one facility. Now, it's not as large as the high schools by any means, but it's pretty substantial, and everyone that's been through it has just told me it's amazing. So kind of excited. I like the fact that we're going that way. I hate to see space empty and not used except for a couple events, and it's tax dollars, so. Does that cover it?
Yes, and it is state of the art. If you're ever invited to go take a tour, it is an outstanding, they've done an outstanding job.
I think so as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Could I ask, because this is important to me, that as part of the marketing and communications presentation, what you just mentioned was not just ability to create revenue through some of these, but increased community access
Absolutely.
to facilities that are made possible by the sales tax.
By the taxpayers, absolutely.
Right. So we're returning functionality to our taxpayers.
You could say the same thing about Franklin Parks. You have that community health center.
It's a
You
great
have
story. And what
the
I'm
farm.
saying, we need to tell that story. They're investing the tax dollars, but it's increasing access to school facilities. If you can use gyms or run on tracks or use parking lots or use black box theaters, then we've enhanced our community services.
Absolutely.
It's a good story. Thank you.
Have a nice evening, everybody.
Thanks so much, Scott. Going to move to technology. Good evening.
Good evening, members. Patrick Way, IT Director. We didn't do a lot of sales tax dollars in our last quarter. It's more planning for summers and projects, and most of our purchases were the previous quarter when we were doing school devices, Chromebooks, as we've talked about, support laptops, that kind of stuff. But we do have a lot of maintenance going on, and we still use tax dollars for security, student safety, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to review some of those. We spent, close to about $1 million last quarter in maintenance upgrades for student safety, access control, and surveillance. Got a couple slides for you here. Oops, I'm sorry, I got that title from the last presentation, sorry. The number's correct, though. We had about 11 schools that we worked on to update our access control, swipe badges, any of the motion sensors, that kind of stuff. A variety of schools had different locations that needed additionals, and then we do have refresh that we go through each time. So about 182,000 there across the board for those to update those 11 locations. The other items that we upgraded were for security purposes. They have servers as well as other devices that handle and save all of the surveillance data and security cameras out there. And we do have security camera refreshes as well as server updates that we need to maintain as we go through the years. So here we did about 7 different locations and updated their servers to all the newer tool sets and versions as well as cameras and the way that they work. So some nice updates for that, close to 850,000 there this last quarter. Any questions? All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate
Yes.
it.
Appreciate it.
According to the sheet, the access control technology improvements were $24, so that's good.
That's 24K, my bad. Yeah.
No, I thought you were a good negotiator.
Good there. Sorry about that, ladies.
I appreciate that.
I know. Yes.
Good work.
Great work, huh?
Should we talk about security now? Or do we talk about that?
Pardon me?
Security or moving on to our maintenance?
It was maintenance for security products.
Okay.
So on the last slide, it's about servers and surveillance cameras that are updated. And the previous slide with 182 was more access technology, the door access, badging, and that kind of
Got
stuff.
it. Thank you very much.
You bet. Have a great evening.
You too. Now we'll move to maintenance. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you this evening. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chad Caldwell. I serve as the Assistant Director for Maintenance Services for the district. So I'm going to tell a bit of a story about a spotlight project we're doing at this time. There's going to be some information on the slides. However, I'm going to kind of go through this in a linear fashion. And of course, at the end, I'll welcome any questions that you do have. So what we currently have, what we have in a backlog with the district are sinks that involve cabinetry, countertops. What that does is involve multiple trades when you have anything that breaks. Furthermore, that creates multiple breaking points for bathroom sinks that have multiple sinks, right? So what we've done moving forward is a product called Acorn Sinks. If you Google it, you'll see a variety of options. The option that we utilize is the half moon sink for a couple of reasons. The marginal cost increase per unit is $200. It's ADA compliant right out of the box, and it also only involves one trade. So you've gone from multiple drain lines, multiple supply lines, to one supply line, one drain line. From a safety component, the Acorn Sink product is, I don't want to say vandal proof, but it is vandal resistant. So on the slide, if you look up, Diplomat is the case study that we have here. We had somebody that sat on that sink fell down. That does not happen with Acorn Sinks. They're a very robust product. And again, to reiterate that $200 marginal cost increase per unit, just that breakage right there is going to exceed that $200. So moving into the consumption, this is something that personally from a utility standpoint gets me a little bit excited. So each sink, as it is utilized with what we currently have, obviously there's a handle goes on, somebody walks away, handle stays on. Those Acorn Sinks utilize sensors, so 2 things that you're accomplishing with that. You're limiting touch points, so spreading of germs, things of that nature. You are also being a good steward of utilities and thereby instituting some fiscal responsibility. So with the schools that we've utilized thus far, we've done Bonita High School, that's throughout the entire school. Ida Baker specifically on the first floor, that's the group bathrooms on the first floor. Diplomat Middle School, which again, that's the picture that you see here. Diplomat Elementary School in the art room. We've got East Lee County High School in the tech rooms and Cape Coral High School at the football stadium area specifically. So with this being a relatively new initiative within the last 2 years, the sample size is still relatively small. There were 6 schools that were just listed there, so the sample size is small. However, it is important to mention that there have been 0 service requests issued at those 6 locations in the specific areas that those Acorn Sinks are placed. I think that's vital and important for everybody to understand as we move forward. As of June 25, 2025, to reiterate, 0 service requests. So moving on. What do we have upcoming? How do we want to continue this initiative? So we have 1 school per fiscal year that we're looking at utilizing this moving forward. So I'm going to go through those with you really quick. FY26 is going to be Bonita Springs Middle School. FY27, Buckingham Exceptional. FY28 Fort Myers Middle, and FY29 is going to be Bay Shore. There's also going to be the next slide. I believe we're going to have a bit of, you can keep on going, just another list of areas that we have dispatched, scheduling phase, just kind of the log of projects that we do have. There are 42 total there. And just to reiterate what the dispatched versus that scheduling phase looks like, the dispatch phase means we are ready to start or work in progress, and that scheduling phase is simply what it sounds like. We are awaiting scheduling. So at this time, I'd like to open it up for any questions. Would love to field any questions you do have, and if I don't have an answer, I promise you I will find an answer.
Did I understand correctly that you're doing the SYNC project, ACORN you call it? Are you doing, did you say one school a year?
Yes, so thus far we have done 6 within the last 2 years. We have 1 school scheduled for each of the next up till FY29 fiscal years.
If it is as cost efficient as we think it could be, why would you only do 1 school per year when we have as many schools as we have in the district?
I hear you, and that is something we can definitely look at. Absolutely, I hear you loud and
Because that
clear.
would take my lifetime to get all of the schools done. And if it's as efficient as we think, and we know that kids and adults don't necessarily take the best care of it,
Sure.
of our products that we have that you say aren't as, they aren't, I won't say they aren't as sturdy, but they don't take the abuse that the ACORN will take. Why 1 school a year?
I don't have an answer for you right now, but I can promise you I hear you loud and clear, and that is something that maintenance services will definitely take to heart, and I know is taking to heart as we go through replacements moving forward, even with our operational dollars outside of ISSOC.
So is it a product that you can, so one breaks at a school, is it a product that you could put 1 ACORN there and the rest aren't? Or is it something that it has to be all on that water line or whatever, or none?
So yes, so it makes the most sense. So if you have multiple sinks, you're not going to put 1 ACORN sink and then continue to have your other multiple sinks, right? So if you're going to do it, it stands to reason that you're going to do it, remove all the other sinks and utilize that 1 ACORN sink. So that is exactly what we do in these situations. So yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
You highlighted the 0 service maintenance requests for the existing ACORN sinks at the 6 locations. What is a rough normal quantity of service requests for the existing sinks? Just because I have no scale or frame of reference for that as an improvement.
I'd be selling you a false bill of goods if I gave you a back of napkin figure here, but what I can do is follow up and kind of parse through what we get on a normal monthly basis or whatever iteration that you all would like of interval of that data and provide that to you, but I don't want to sell you a false bill of goods.
I would just like to know to understand how scalable that is long-term.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Mr. Caldwell, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Have a great
Good to
evening.
have you. I believe we'll move to the financial budget and revenue forecast. Matt, are you the winner tonight?
Good evening, committee. My name is Matt Acosta. I'm the Assistant Budget Director, and I'm going to walk you through the financials. So the first slide we're looking here is our FY25 estimated capital revenue, which stands at what we've estimated initially at $397.1 million, of which sales tax constitutes 31% of that expected revenue. Looking at, and I don't have this on this slide, but just to give you an estimate for FY26, we're currently estimating about $421.8 million in the next year's budget, which is about a 6% increase from this 397. A majority of that is in interest income, as we're looking at adjusting interest income from our historical estimates, as well as about a $6.8 million increase in local property tax. The next slide is the FY25 sales tax budget, which we had at $281 million. You can see as of June 2025, the majority of that is in construction projects. This includes debt service for the new schools, with about 23% for capital maintenance, and then so forth to safety and technology and reserves. Our next slide is the month-to-month earned from year over year from FY25, FY24, and FY25. You can kind of see in this slide that we've really closely matched what we were doing in FY24, with the exception of that July, which includes a discretionary payment that was paid late, so that was included in that month. But we're pretty much aligned with where we're at, and maybe a little bit below that for FY24. And then our next slide is the sales tax revenue, both from inception to date and looking at our FY25 results. So for the total life of the sales tax, we've accumulated about $658 million. That's about 5.7% above the projections that we've made, which was about $622 million. For FY25, we are currently at 96.3 million, which is about 4.5% below our year projection. And then looking at just the month over month, you can kind of see the breakdown and the about 4.5 million below projection. We've kind of estimated out where we will land for FY25, and we're looking at about 117 million with 2 monthly payments still to come and then 1 more quarterly discretionary. With that, we've projected out for FY26 to be basically flat. So we're looking at about 117 million for FY26, which would be kind of 4% decline from what we originally projected for this year. So that's where we are at currently with those with the estimate. Any questions?
Questions for Mr. Acosta? Matt, so in FY25, which is the year we're in today, you're projecting it to be about $4.5 million less than what you projected for FY25.
Yes. So we were projected about 122, and we're looking at probably ending up around 117. So about 4.5, I believe, decline from the initial projection.
And so FY26 is basically projected at FY25 actuals.
Correct.
Do you know, or can you speculate on what caused the $4.5 million decline?
Speculate. I mean, a combination of factors, it seems like. Still recovery, and looking at reports from just say FCCU economic reports and the Bureau of Economic Research and Development, just stagnating growth for the area, as well as tourism just still in the rebound and having a bit of a decline, especially for some areas that were affected by Ian and then subsequent hurricanes still recovering. Those are some of the kind of reasonings that I've read.
And does the projection of reduction down to 117 next year affect any of the projects that are in the queue that we've been talking about? Is there any concern you can't do something that you projected that you would do?
There's always a concern of shifting priorities. Like when we don't expect as much revenue, we have to then pivot, where we find that funding for that. A lot of times that's within the maintenance portion that we have. We'll have a little more flexibility. As far as our major projects, we tend to find the ability to get those done, but we may shift other, maybe not as essential projects further along the line.
Any other questions?
Not a question, but I would say you're pretty much in line with other things in the county. The county themselves are going to be flat. The cities are looking at deficits. I chair the board for the Edison Estates. We're about 12 to 13 down on, and if you look at hotels, are only about 60% back online. So where you're getting your sales tax from, the impact is from lack of visitation, lack of tourism, from whatever regions they are. You can look across the county and see it. So your projections are pretty much in line with everything else.
And in the FGCU report, they specifically mention the hospitality industry as one being significantly hit currently. So, I mean, obviously, that goes along with the tourism and stuff in our community.
Any other questions, or anyone got $4.5 million to fill the hole?
Less toilets.
Or more toilets?
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Mr. Semino, if I may ask, as you go through these motions, could you mention the member name who seconds the
Yes,
motions, just so we have them as on the record? Thank you.
Yes. So for newer members, the committee usually on a quarterly basis takes two motions. The first is to verify that the financials are consistent with the sales tax and that the projects are consistent with the sales tax. That's really our only job, is to make sure that they're consistent with the referendum. So we're going to ask for two motions separately. The first would be a motion to approve the sales tax financials as presented and consistent with the sales tax referendum.
So moved.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sharon Schulman.
Sharon first.
Mo Landis for the second.
Josh, thank you very much. You get that? Any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries without dissent. The second one would be that the sales tax projects that have been presented are consistent with the referendum, and we'll need a motion as such.
Fred Atkins, so moved.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins.
Cole Peacock with a second.
Atkins and Peacock have two. Thank you very much. Any conversation about that motion? Take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, I think that's it. We have an opportunity for member comments. Bobby, I hear you online. Is there anything you would like to add?
Mute myself. No, thank you for the meeting. I'm sorry I couldn't be there tonight, but I'm real proud of the work we're doing, and I'm so pleased at what the sales tax is doing for our school system. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you for joining online. Any other member comments?
I believe earlier in the meeting, an item was tabled.
Yeah, I'd like to take that up. I appreciate what Mr. Peacock mentioned, and I think rather than calling out in a meeting that maybe we aren't prepared to have that conversation, to put on the table that at our next meeting, we have a conversation not in advocacy for or against, but in a conversation about the consequences of discontinuing or not continuing that. And if it so moves that we come to a recommendation or a request, that we forward that on. I think it would be consistent with our committee to ask for anything that we like. And you suggested that we ask for clarity from leadership. So,
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think it's a fair point, because people like myself and others who were on the group that got this passed in this community to start with, it was a heavy lift. And there were a lot of people that were absolutely against this. And it was a big fight. So now you've got people that have their name, reputation attached to it, plus also this committee to do their part and do it fair and justice, to go out and promote it to groups that may believe it's going to continue, so then they support it. I just think if it's not clear communication on all sides, it does the district a disservice across the board and causes more headaches than probably they want to deal with.
agreed. Any other thoughts?
I have a comment. I was on the financial.
Wait, can you just switch it on? Thank you.
I was on the financial advisory board when it was voted to go to the board as, I guess, a motion or for them to consider doing the sales tax. And so my concern is, what I understand about this administration and this board is those advisory committees are no more They've been shut down. So I'm not sure where this board and where this superintendent is getting feedback from the community. So I guess that's a concern I have. So I think this board has a duty to share that feedback. And what is the board thinking? What is the superintendent thinking? Like, it's being talked about all over the community. Are they going to move forward with it or not? People don't know.
Other thoughts? Are we in agreement to put that on for a conversation where we have the opportunity to prepare for it rather than an advocacy or a recommendation, but a conversation? And I think it will emerge how the committee may come to a group consensus at that time. It is not the role of the committee to be advocates per se, but to make sure that we're overseeing the sales tax as it is today. But I think it would be wise for us to weigh in on the continuity of it.
I agree. I mean, it shouldn't be a combative conversation. It should be a clarity conversation so that everybody's on the same page.
I mean, the last meeting that we had, I know the tech guy, I think I'm on it, it's not
Yes.
close enough. I know the tech guy, last time we asked him, you guys are repairing all these computers and renewing them, and what are you going to do when it's done? And there was no answer. So I know that there's not even at this moment a thought as to what they're going to do when they're like, hey, we need, 2,000 new computers, and there's no way to do it.
I agree, and as all of us in business who are moving into 3- and 5-year strategic plans and planning cycles want to know, the 5-year is at the end of this. What is that 5-year plan?
I want to say something. I have to agree with Cole. We worked very hard to get this passed, and this committee has worked diligently to show the community what actually has happened. And I think we need to start publicizing that, because we worked 2 years before, and we're going to have to get busy on it soon.
Thank you, Bobby. I also think, as maybe this should be taken offline, but when you enter a project into your financial system, particularly a capital project, you put in the depreciation of that capital asset. And we should understand, because if you're building a building that has a 40-year depreciation, is very different than a laptop with a 3-year depreciation. And if we could, I don't know if it's possible, to understand the weighted average of the depreciation of the investments of the sales tax. Is that a reasonable thought exercise?
It is something we can look into and bring back to you if we're easily able to pull it together.
We've had that conversation a couple times. You're investing in things that you're going to have to replace in 3 years. Any other member comments? Hearing none, just a reminder that the next meeting of the committee is on September 18th at 6 p.m. And the one after that will be December 4th at 6 p.m. as well. Hearing no objections, the meeting is adjourned.